Okay, so this weekend it's just finishing off the right hand fork oil change, doing a safety check, just checking the bearings on the front suspension just here, making sure there's no slack. Call them the frame head bearings, whatever you want. Just check the swing arm, the wheel bearings, and run a spanner over the nuts, make sure everything's tightened up, and get it registered. Of course, I'll be doing a check for a start-up, that it'll actually start up and run. Getting it registered isn't going to be easy because now I'm entering a new phase of my life where I'm going for truck licenses, and so I won't have as much spare time, so I'll try and get this thing wrapped up. Going for truck licenses means driving clean across the other side of town, about an hour and a half, and doing the license and coming back. There won't be as much spare time, but on the upside I will be making videos of driving around Sydney's southwest, so that might be interesting for some people to watch. Okay, front suspension oil replacement, new oil. Just be using hydraulic oil, whatever I get off the shelf. The instrument cluster has been taken off. The handlebars will be dropped down to make clearance for the suspension, top of the suspension bolt. I won't be using a socket, I'll just be putting it on by hand and then tightening it up. Okay, so I've got the front wheel up off the ground. I'm using this hydraulic jack. Don't place any trust in hydraulic jacks, especially ones you use to lift up your car, and make sure that it's locked in, that it can't fall. Okay, so I'm going to attempt to undo the top bolt. Shouldn't be that hard. Here we go. Okay, so it should spring off any second. Don't get above it because it's under pressure. There we go, that's it. There's a washer down there and the spring. Okay, somebody's made a spacer out of white PVC. It's 2 inches long. 2 inches long, or 5 centimeter. 5 centimeter. And it's 27 thick. 27 thick. It's 1 1/8 wide. 1 1/8. In there now you've got a washer and the spring. One of the viewers noticed that the oil light didn't come on the dashboard here, so I'll be looking at that in later videos. And also the indicator light on the left hand side there also doesn't work, so I'll be repairing them later on in a further video. So now we have to undo this small screw, and usually can't undo them with a Phillips head. Usually have to clamp something on the outside of there and just turn it around. On the other side where the disc is, you will get suspension oil on the disc, and it's oil. If that happens, you'll have to clean it off. If you want to tape it up and protect it at this stage, then do so. Then you won't have to clean your disc. So I've got an oil pan down here, and plastic because it will it'll squirt out onto the floor. We can see that it's fairly dirty oil. we can get a look at the oil, and that's what I look for. That's sort of a metallic streak you might be able to see there, and that indicates you know, just the workings of the inner parts of the suspension or the motor, that there is sort of a metal trace there. I suppose just water and dirt gathers there on the top of the suspension, gets down and into the leg. Could be Bel-Ray oil too, and that's usually the oil's coloured, but yeah, that looks pretty dirty. Okay. So stand the bike up, try and get as much into the container. That's pretty much drained out. Okay. Okay, so usually, you know, you put the bike down on the ground, you hold the front brake, you give it, you know, you pump the oil out of the suspension, making sure that the bike doesn't fall over. Let it drain out, and now we'll put the new oil in. Okay, so the oil looks a little bit metallic there. You may be able to see some traces. It was definitely time to change it. However, when I tip it up, you can see that there's no lumps or any metal there. Okay, so that's how much oil came out of 2 tubes, so both sides of the front suspension. If you go to my channel and put in Sportster front suspension change, oil change or something like that, then you'll find the video for the oil change of the left hand side fork. That's the hydraulic oil I'm using. Okay, so now I'm going to raise the front wheel up off the ground. This is a 1994 Evolution Sportster. They recommend 9.0 OZ or 266mm. There's 250. That is 300 up there, 250. So we'll judge 266mm, 250, 266. Okay, so we put our screw in, just tighten him up. Put the oil of your choosing in the fork leg. You can go to a shop and get proper suspension oil, or do your research and use what oil you think is best. Washer, spacer if you've got one. To put the cap on, push down with the thumb and turn. Okay, so you probably have to get the handlebars out of the way for this. Now this is fairly hardcore work, so I'll lay the handlebars down to provide more room here to get the top cap on. Reset the handlebars, put the front headlight back on, reconnect the dash, and it's job done. Just a reminder, make sure your disc is free from oil, all the oil's off the wheel, and you've done the job properly and haven't forgotten to do up any bolts. Okay, so reconnecting the dash and handlebars. So it goes like this. The dash goes on top there, on the part that tightens up the handlebars, and the headlight's connected to that aluminium or aluminum or whatever you want to say, aluminium part there, and that bolts onto the front fork, the top fork holder. So it'll go a little something like that there, and you've got your two Allen bolts. They'll slip into there, and they'll thread in just down there. Okay, to install the headlight, you've got your headlight holder, and you do up those two Allen head bolts there to install it. The dashboard uses one of the bolts for the handlebar clamp that goes through those two holes and into the handlebar clamp. These spacers go in those two grooves there, like so. Okay, check your suspension and your front brake. Don't forget to get any oil off the tyre if you've got some oil on it.